Welcome to Cities on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie Passingham. Waterville, Minnesota is a small town that enjoys a summer boom due to its lakeside location. Del Point takes us on a tour of the lakes surrounding Waterville. We also meet Irina Mikhailova, who is trained as an engineer, but she also has an artist's heart. We learn about her paintings and why she moved to the United States from Russia. Waterville is also working hard to continue to improve their community. Jane Comiskey, Lynn Coleman, and Monica Herrera talk about the concrete projects that are a result of their Horizons Leadership Program. We'll have all this and more. Stay tuned for Cities on the Move. Irina Mikhailova recently moved to Waterville from Russia. She is an enthusiastic artist who is documenting her new surroundings. Let's meet her now.
My name is Irina Mikhailova. I'm from Russia, from St. Petersburg, very beautiful city, but northern, cold, windy, rainy, but beautiful. It was a romantic story. I met this guy who lives in Waterville 2 years ago, and we were mailing each other during 2 years, 2 times a day. I came here as a tourist twice to Minnesota, to Waterville, and 4 months ago we got married. I came here and now I'm a citizen of Waterville, small town. I was painting all over my life, as I remember myself. Kids, they usually are drawing and painting, so I was, well, my parents simply maybe paid attention to this my, my desire to paint, and then I lived again in very beautiful city, in very beautiful with the greatest museums, the Hermitage, Russian Museum. And it is very difficult to stay far from arts. If you are surrounded by arts, I think in general, creativeness, it is something inside. How it will be realized, it depends upon the situation. In my situation, in my life, it was my father who took me by hand, and at the age of 2, we went to Hermitage, and all my weekends were spent there because it was his fun, the subject he loved. I like to paint and to draw people, but here it is not much people. Here I start painting fish. My husband said, "Wow, what are you doing? Fish? People need fish." And I start, here you are. I like oil pastels very much, oil pastels. It is too hot here for oil pastels. Maybe in winter it will be okay. I tried to paint once out of doors and it melts. I love to paint because I can show people the world as it seems to me. It seems to me that, well, I'm sure that people are different, and it is very nice they should be different. So I see the world, the piece, in this way, and I'm hurried to depict this moment, and to let people to see and maybe to be surprised or maybe to be glad, to see something else, to understand something else, to discover something more than they can see by their eyes, by their brain, by their heart. So for me it's a sort of a sharing of my discoveries.
Well, on today's program, we're going to learn a little bit about a leadership program that the residents of Waterville have recently participated in. And we have some special guests today who have joined us. We have Jane Comiskey, we have Lynn Coleman, and we have Monica Herrera. Thanks for being here, gals.
Thanks for asking us.
Well, Monica, we're going to start with you. You are with Extension, University of Minnesota Extension, and you are the organization that sponsors or offers this leadership programming. Tell us a little bit about how long you've been doing this. What are the objectives from the university's standpoint?
Okay, Horizons is a program funded by the Northwest Area Foundation, and it's a community leadership program for poverty reduction that works with communities under 5,000 in population with at least 10% poverty. So it's an 18-month program, and it's offered in all the states that Northwest Area Foundation has impact in. So there's actually offered in Minnesota, Iowa, the Dakotas, Montana, Idaho, and Washington.
Wow. So
the program is going on in all the states at the same time. We just wrapped up, and Waterville was part of our third cohort, cohort being defined as communities in the same 18-month program. So we just completed the third one, and in Minnesota we've had 33 communities complete the program, and the objectives are really kind of threefold. So one is to allow small, very small rural communities to experience a leadership program geared just towards them. And it's pretty unique nationwide that most leadership programs focus on larger communities or where there are more people, larger amounts of people that want to be engaged. The second is it's about empowerment, and we do a lot of skill building during the program around facilitation, dialoguing. How do you come together to address tough issues? How do you focus on planning? So develop leaders to really engage people into action. And third is to really address poverty and to come up with strategies, practical, doable activities that communities can own and run with for the long-term impact of poverty. And there's, different communities take different approaches, and the ladies here will talk about what Waterville, but amazing results. And I have all kinds of numbers, but won't bore you with that. But the most amazing numbers I think we have to date is we've cataloged about 47,000 hours that Horizons communities have put into their work and their communities, which totals about $100,000, over $100,000 if you look at kind of the contributions done. And then we've just started tabulating the resources leveraged that communities have done to leverage other resources, other grants or other programs. And we're up to about 1.5 million that communities have brought into their communities to work on their issues and in their activities. So it's pretty amazing results.
That is amazing. Lots have taken place. Do you identify the communities, or do they apply to you in a competitive process, or how does someone get chosen?
They show up. The only criteria, again, are under 5,000, at least 10% poverty. We have 124 communities in Minnesota that qualified from the 2000 census. Okay. And the census, who knows what's going to happen next. But and then when we're recruiting, we're not currently recruiting right now, but when we go into recruitment mode, we go around the state, do information sessions, and communities you have to have at least 5 community members attend an information session to hear about the program, to understand. It's a commitment, and I'm sure you'll hear lots of stories about that. It is a commitment. It is and you have to commit for the 18 months. And then communities who say, okay, yes, sign us up, complete it's a very simple 2-page application process where they have to get 30 people in the community to sign up saying they're committed to join it. And 30 people like youth and faith-based, elected officials, teachers.
Okay. Nice
so
diversity.
it's diversity of people have to say, yes, we're interested. And that's what launches them into the program.
All right.
But besides that, it really is, who understands it, who wants to do it, who's ready to do it.
Who's ready?
Yeah.
Yep. And sometimes that is the key in communities is, are you ready? And have all your ducks lined up and people ready to participate. So when this opportunity came to the attention of folks in Waterville, how hard was it to get those 30 people to say, I'm ready to spend 18 months working on this project?
Well, I think it was people self-selected themselves. I think we put notices in the paper and a lot of word of mouth around town about, oh, this Horizons project is coming, what are we going to do, what is it? And then like Monica was saying, it focuses on poverty, and everybody poverty in Waterville? Where's the poverty? Nobody's sleeping under bridges. We don't have homeless people. So what are they talking about in Waterville? So I think a lot of people came out of curiosity from all different groups to see what's this all about and how can I be involved. And they brought a friend, and one of our churches opened up their doors to have all our meetings there, and we just all came together to figure out what it was all about.
Now, Monica, is the poverty guideline based on some federal number? Because sometimes in rural, smaller communities, it's harder to see poverty because cost of living is less, and people have been in their homes for many years. It may be a little bit different than metropolitan areas. How is that poverty line?
Household income.
Okay.
So it's based on 4 people per household. It was about $21,000.
Okay.
I mean, it changes obviously every
Sure.
year. There's a cost of living attached to it, but when we were recruiting this time, that was what it was set at.
That was set up. Okay. All right. So you got folks together. They must have been enough that showed up at that first meeting, and you guys signed up for these 18 months. What happened then?
Well, we started our study circles and broke into groups. We had topics. We had leaders that took us through all the different areas of leadership, how to do performing, storming, norming, and talk through issues. We had things to get people to freely talk about issues. A lot of us. Waterville is a community where most people work out of town, and so I think it brought a lot of the retired people out of their house and to this, and got people together to know each other and visit, and started out real social. Everybody just talking about all this stuff, and then as we went into session after session after session, we realized, this is a real working session, and we're really learning stuff, and it's fun besides.
Great. A plus.
Yeah,
A plus.
yeah.
Lynn, did you have to travel to the university for these, or were these sessions held right in your community? And how did you feel as a participant? Were you eager and excited, or a little, not so sure?
We didn't have to travel. That was one of the things that is really nice about the program, is we're able to detail it to suit the needs of our own community and the families and members of our community. And I think that that's one of the things that makes it such a successful program, is that you are able to tweak it according to what your needs are. So we didn't have to travel. That was a big plus. It was local. We tried to schedule things around those extended hours. And one of the things that I think that I saw happening that I was really excited about was a lot of people wanting to impact where they live and not really knowing how to go about that, not having a venue to do that. And so this gave them that. Horizons gave them an opportunity to come together and express their thoughts and concerns and their ideas, which were absolutely wonderful. And to know that they weren't alone, that they had all these other people out there that maybe they hadn't even met yet. So that was really a nice thing to see happen in our community, was
Great.
blending of all the different ages and backgrounds and that kind of thing.
And bringing people together.
Yes.
Now, you guys developed this wonderful vision plan, and it's got a good graphic to it, and it talks about community events, recreational choices, tourism, local employment, local business. How long did it take you to get to this point?
That was one of the first things we did, actually.
Okay. All right.
Was to try and focus, gave us a target. We had to decide as a group what the priorities really were, what we wanted Waterville to be as a community, all of us together. What did we imagine it could be? And so that's where that developed from. And Waterville's a small town, rural town, and we have our economic challenges, and a lot of those things are based economically. If we want to reduce poverty in our area, we have to be able to have people have the opportunity to do that. So a lot of it is just focused on getting the money into town.
Sure. Well, let's talk about 1 through 4. Jane, walk us through kind of what the idea was behind each of those.
Well, those were the summary of all the different groups coming together and with our different ideas and how are we going to do this. We're going to focus on early childhood youth in schools. We're going to invest in our basic community resources. We're going to compile everything that we have in the community, all the different churches we have, all the different civic groups that we have, all the different support mechanisms that we have. And working with the city council, the chamber, and we're all trying to do the same thing and achieve the same mission. So let's all get together, and a lot of us were involved in all the different various groups too. So just getting everybody together. So we came up with the 3 different areas: the community connections, the youth group, and then the jobs section and economic impact. And so the first one that really took off was our downtown beautification, revitalizing downtown, and getting all the flowers around town and keeping the sidewalks all clean, and getting together with the city council person who's on the Parks Commission, and adopting a park and cleaning up all our parks and just making it a real friendly, beautiful place for people to come, and for the people that live in town to actually come downtown and enjoy downtown, and then see what we're doing and help.
Well, and I think one thing that that group did very well was they developed a long-term plan for what they wanted the downtown area to look like, what they wanted it to attract. And, you know, they really went to work. They did a painting projects last summer that just enhanced the whole thing. Any business owner on Main Street was welcome to participate, and they would buy the paint, and then the Horizons volunteers would go in and apply paint to the outside for shutters, doors, trim. So the whole downtown area in a matter of a few weeks got completely revitalized with just some flowers, some benches, and some fresh paint. But it just makes a tremendous difference, not just for visitors because we're on this bike trail, but also just for local people to see that you can take pride in where you are. It's a beautiful place to live, and we're going to show that. We're going to show that to everybody.
I love that you guys have jumped on doing concrete things right away. You know, leadership programs are great, and there are many that are offered across the state, but I love how you guys have short-term and long-term goals. I mean, those long-term ones are important too. It just takes a little bit more effort and resources to get there, but that you've got this beautification progress. I understand you also are doing ride share, is that right?
Yep. We called it a ride around town because, again, we wanted to get seniors involved, and so many seniors were, they don't have their cars anymore, and to just get a ride around town. They've got the mechanism through the county for any kind of medical rides, but to go to the beauty shop, to come out and play bingo, to go to the bank, to go grocery shopping on Tuesday, which is Senior Citizen Day for all the discounts, just finding people that would participate in that program. And we had plenty of drivers, and it was trying to get people to sign up, to call, to say, hey, you know, I'd like a ride here. One gentleman just wants a ride downtown, ride around town, you know. So we came up with a flyer for that, and again, just getting the seniors, all the retired people in that town involved and activated and out of their houses, and talking to each other, and and a lot of those people have lived there all their life. Yeah.
Well, and again, it's the economic advantage of doing that too. They're not waiting for a family member to bring them into a bigger town or a bigger city. They can shop locally if they could get there. So they use our pharmacy, our grocery store, our, you know, what's available to them right in town. Whereas before they wouldn't have had that option.
Monica, one of the worksheets that you ran these guys through was, and I'll use the children and youth activities example, is it's very specific. Is this key to actually moving on to these action steps? Tell us a little bit about why the specific nature of this worksheet maybe actually gets some good results.
Well, I think going back, if you look at it is an 18-month program. So the program starts with study circles, which is what Jane was talking about, when communities come together, and the whole model uses train-the-trainer model. So it isn't the university staff coming in to do these things in the community, but we train community people, and they have the facilitator, the trainer, the leadership roles. So during study circles, they identify some short-term ideas. That's the real dialogue, where they are talking to each other about what poverty looks like, and that a big factor of poverty is isolation. And so that's where you see a lot of these ideas that come out are, it's about connecting people and building relationships. From there, they do the formal leadership training part of it, which is called Leadership Plenty. Again, train the trainers. And then we went into the vision, and that vision graphic that actually was developed in 1 3-hour meeting. Wow. And we had about 70, 80 people there in the school cafeteria. Yeah. And so all the groups that had been meeting and talking presented kind of what they wanted, or where were the common areas that people really got excited about. And that was developed that night. And then some time was spent where you guys took it out, got more community people to affirm it and sign off on it, and then the work team started meeting. So by the time the work team start meeting with that very simple sheet, they've been talking for over a year.
Okay.
So it's like, oh yeah, we've been talking about this forever. Let's put it on paper.
Yep, that's
Very
right, too.
simple. You know, and you saw it yourself that the work plan itself is very specific, very practical. Because one of the things we found is that nothing builds more energy than seeing people get things done.
All right, so that's, if you have a good idea for Waterville, or you are a community that is interested in how their process went, please check them out online. And thank you so much, gals, for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, stay tuned for more Cities on the Move. Summer at the lake, warm sunshine, a cool breeze, a leisurely boat ride. Del Point gives us a taste of summers in Waterville. Let's take a look.
Up north, it's the destination for many in the region, particularly in the summertime. For one small town in our area, they are the up north destination for many. Waterville, Minnesota is home to 1,800 year-round residents, but it nearly quadruples in size during the summer months. Former weekend visitor turned permanent resident Del Point describes the allure of the community.
It was always special, you know, being a seasonal, you know, resident, because you had the, you know, it was exciting to open up in the spring. It was always a little depressing closing up in the fall, but you know, the kind of that looking forward to getting back to the lake and that kind of thing, I thought would lose its, you know, specialness, if that's a word. And it really, what I didn't realize is what was all going around or happening there when you were gone. And I really grew to enjoy being on the lake in the winter more than I ever thought I would. I always liked to ice fish, but hadn't done it for several years. And just being able to come home from work and jump on my four-wheeler or jump in the truck and drive out onto the lake and come back in for supper and go back out and whatever. It's just very convenient and fun on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and it's beautiful, and there's nobody out here because all the weekend people are gone. And you jump on the pontoon and bring a little picnic and go out for a ride. And so it's things like that that you can do as a year-round resident that you can't do, you know, if you're just going to be here on weekends.
The Waterville area has two lakes that dominate the landscape.
Lake Tatanka, which is behind us, and Lake Sakata, and that they're connected by the Cannon River. And a few years ago, there was a dam between the two that you could get through that area with a small fishing boat, but they took the dam out and raised one of the bridges, and so now you can navigate between the two with a pontoon or larger boat. It makes it a lot of fun. You can get on your pontoon at noon and go around both lakes and not get back till 5, 6 o'clock at night. And the nice thing is there's places to stop along the ways. There's resorts where you can go and use the restroom, pick up ice or appetizers or whatever you want. So it's really kind of fun.
In addition to pleasure boating, the area offers many other activities.
The lake gets used for a lot of reasons. You know, there's a lot of fishermen that come. There's a lot of bass in this lake, a lot of walleyes. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources fish hatchery, they have one on Lake Tatanka, and so it's been stocked in the past. A lot of jet skiers on the weekends, just people who enjoy. There's people who parasail. I've seen people land airplanes, all kinds of things. In the wintertime, it's fun too. You get snowmobiling, like I said before, ice fishing, and a lot of different activities.
Part of the summer lineup includes community festivals.
One of the things that's kind of unique about Waterville itself is that, you know, they've always, you know, kind of claimed they're the bullhead capital of the world. And a lot of people maybe don't look at the bullhead as being such a highly regarded fish. It's kind of funny because they when most people around here were kids, they would come to Waterville to fish bullheads, and the bullhead population is way down. There isn't that many bullheads here. We just recently celebrated Bullhead Days, second weekend in June, and they had to buy bullheads in order to serve them. Served, I think, close to 14,000 bullheads in just a one weekend.
Pontoberfest is near and dear to Dell's heart.
We have a parade that starts at 1 o'clock on Saturday. This year it'll be July 10th. It's usually the Saturday after 4th of July. And we have, everybody decorates their boats or pontoons, different themes. We've had The Grinch That Stole Christmas, Batman, Gilligan's Island, pirate ships. We had a Viking ship with the mast, the sail, everything on a pontoon. People go way out. Some people do, some people don't, and you can just kind of do what you want to do.
With plenty to do and a welcoming community, Waterville, Minnesota lives up to its slogans, a town of friendly people and southern Minnesota's vacation spot. Check them out at watervillemn.com.
And now for the calendar of events. Join Faribault Y Pro for pontoon networking on Roberts Lake on Thursday, July 29th. Registration will begin at 5:15 p.m. at Windjam's Shady Acres Resort, followed by a pontoon ride at 5:45. The pontoon ride will be complete with networking and a scavenger hunt activity. Dinner will be served at 7 p.m. at Windjam's, and beverages will be available for purchase upon arriving on the shore. Register online at faribaultmn.org. On July 31st, check out Rugger Olympics in Mason City, Iowa. Approximately 15 events are planned for rugby players to compete against each other in an Olympic-style format. Events would include timed races, kicking competitions for distance and accuracy, different strength type events, and other competitions related to the sport of rugby. For more information, call 641-423-7457. Check out the replicas of the Columbus ships Nina and Pinta, which will be docked in Winona from now until August 2nd. The Nina was built by hand and without the use of power tools and considered to be the most historically correct Columbus replica ever built. The Pinta was recently built in Brazil and is a larger version of the archetypal caravel ship. For more information, visit thenina.com. If you have an event to share with our viewers, log on to KSMQ and post it today. Next week on Cities on the Move, we check out what's happening in Austin, Minnesota, including a trip to Knauer's Meat Market and a visit with Phil Burkhart about the upcoming Austin Artist Series. Please join us Tuesday, August 3rd at 6:30 p.m. on KSMQ for another edition of Cities on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie Passingham. Good night.